Hello and welcome to the Crypto Masters Podcast, helping the general public to master an understanding of crypto assets. My name is Brian McCoy.
And my name is Ross Eaton.
And we are the Crypto Masters. Today's episode is Ocean Protocol.
Ooh, I feel like swimming, Brian.
Well, instead of sharks and jellyfish, think data marketplace in a decentralized context. Ooh. Okay, that's our quick tease. Now, here's a reminder that our goal here at the Crypto Masters is to provide information about crypto assets to help the public decide if it's something that they may want to invest in, do further research on their own. We generally don't do the short-term trading, we're more for long-term investments.
Exactly, Brian. And we want to allow you, the listeners, to make your own investment decisions. We are not financial advisors. So I just have to say it. This is not financial advice.
You do have, I believe we do have to say it.
We do have to say it. So as always, we want to give you, our listeners, the information to let you make your own investment decisions regarding crypto assets. So, Brian, let's jump into Ocean Protocol.
All right. So let's set the table. We all know that we use Facebook, Google, Amazon, and almost every other website. That company is collecting and using and selling our data, right? We know that. We've all heard about it. You search for a grill on Amazon, and then you're on some other site, and you suddenly get bombarded with ads for grills.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's creepy.
Yep.
It's my data, but I get no benefit from it. Who does? Facebook, Google, the big data barons, as they're called. It's not only that, but then the big tech companies not only just get to keep the data for themselves and for their own benefit by selling it to advertisers, but then they don't even do a good job protecting our privacy. And they collect all of that data, they hold on to it, and so it's not really used for other purposes where it could be for like beneficial research. Data is the bloodline of AI, artificial intelligence. They're not sharing it there. So Ocean Protocol tries to provide a solution to this problem.
Absolutely, Brian. And, this is a big issue. I'm currently working in data. I am a data analyst right now. And, to be able to do data analytics, you just need a lot of data. If you want accurate results. If you want non-accurate results, then, go ahead and dive away into a small ocean. But Ocean Protocol wants to provide this marketplace for data so people can control their data and benefit from it. And users of data, like providers of goods and services and researchers, can use the data. We'll get into how they use it in a second. But the protocol uses data tokens to control access to the data sets. The data tokens are wrapped data made into our ERC20 token.
Interesting.
Very interesting. Yes. The providers of data are rewarded with project's native cryptocurrency, or this project's native cryptocurrency called Ocean. And that's spelled just how you would spell ocean. So the project started a data exchange marketplace called Ocean Market, where data tokens are available to buy and sell data. So, you as me as a data analyst, I would purchase a data set to then run an algorithm on, for example.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right now it's in beta, but everyone can check it out at market.oceanprotocol.com, and I will link that in the description for you to check out right now. And just the last note, it is an automated market maker. And some of the cool data sets, I've browsed it myself, are things such as Amazon market data, so what's listed on Amazon, eBay as well, market data, so you can look at, maybe a question you have is what's the most trending data or trending item for sale right now on Amazon. And they also had a cool one. They had, I think it was named 1 billion taxi cab rides in New York, so you could do analytics on taxi cab rides.
That's interesting.
A lot of cool data sets out there.
It is, and I went on it as well. So I encourage anybody kind of thinking about this project to go onto that website. I just want to mention one that I found to show that it can be can be pretty specific. I think it was called something like data regarding the transport of swine. So like,
Wow.
and maybe other livestock, but it said swine.
Oh, like the pig, not vermin or
No,
evil people.
so like transporting pigs, let's say, and the humidity and temperature, that the variables, I guess, for the transport. So that's kind of gives you an idea of how, of it's kind of a specific set of data that can be sold and used. So
Absolutely. And one more item I'll add on there too, Brian, just being the data nerd that I am, they also offer, in case any other data nerds are listening, they have Python libraries available. So if you're a Python programmer, you can kind of plug into that data a little bit easier. So just a last bit of nerdiness to add.
that is good info. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about the token called Ocean that you just mentioned. It is multi-purpose. So as you said, providers of data are rewarded with the Ocean tokens. That kind of makes sense. The token's also used for governance. I think there's a DAO, so voting and things like that on directions that they want to go with the project. It's used for staking, which I'll mention in a little bit, and to validate and rank the data tokens that you mentioned. So also there's kind of a liquidity provider scenario. Like you said, it was an automated market maker, like Uniswap. So you can actually own a piece of the pools and then get a fraction of the fees generated from the pools, similar to Uniswap.
Mm-hmm.
So that's sort of how the token Ocean works on the platform. So let me. There's really 4 key actors in this network who are using and earning the Ocean token. So number 1 is the data providers. That kind of again makes sense. These are the people or companies that have data and are willing to supply it to others, at a price. Yeah, the others, the data analysts like you, can consume that data, and they compensate with the Ocean token. So, I mean, an example could be a company that owns a chain of hospitals. They'll have a lot of data. That may be something they would want to sell and put out there for, to be used by a researcher. It could be a car company, that has done extensive crash testing, or so those are just examples maybe of some companies that would have data that they would want to sell. All right, so data providers, one. So number 2, the data curators, and this is interesting. We've heard similar ideas on other projects we've discussed, but the curation market is a way for people, the curators, to weigh in on which data is good and which is bad. So the curators earn Ocean tokens as a reward for their services and kind of helping weed out the bad data and identifying some good data, and that's sort of used as a price signal as well. So that's another element in the protocol, is the curators. All right, so that's 2. 3 is there's something called the registry of actors, and these are kind of curators who weigh in on the quality of the other actors. So
not like Broadway actors.
Not like Broadway
Okay.
actors, but like say curators, because we mentioned that curators are identifying which data is good and bad, but some of them may have motives that aren't good, and so they would be identified by others. So this is a bad actor who's providing bad information, and so his stake needs to be slashed, something like that. So again, it's also, I call it quality control.
Yeah, you've got your checks and balances.
Yes,
here.
exactly. Quality control for the data, and then the registry of actors is quality control for the people, or the other curators, really. And then there's the Ocean keepers, and I sort of see those are the network nodes, like all networks have for the most part, and they keep the protocol running, and they get tokens, rewarded with the Ocean tokens for their work. So those are really the 4 categories of people working the system that can be rewarded with Ocean tokens. So I also want to make a note of this because I find this interesting. So developers are encouraged to fork the Ocean market reference code base and set up their own market. So the link that we just mentioned and that Ross and I discussed, the Ocean market website, they put that code base out there so that you can fork it and make your own data exchange using that. So the thing that I kind of thought of is, there'll be sort of more narrow. That seems to be a broad marketplace. You might want to have a more narrow marketplace, and they encourage you, go ahead, use our code and make your own. So
yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, it's definitely helping the I guess you'd say the ecosystem of data.
Good call.
So we started off with talking about how Amazon and everyone's kind of creepily stalking us with cookies and stuff like that. And then we jumped right into people selling more data. So we need to take a step back here and talk about privacy, what the privacy aspect of this. And, it does get pretty complicated, but I'm just going to kind of offer a brief summary. Not a lot of people like sharing their data, of course, and they want to remain anonymous. So data providers can keep that those data sets on their servers, so it remains under their control. Now, me being the data analyst, if I want to use that data, I'm pit up against a firewall here, so I can basically come up with an algorithm, let's say, or a means for predictive modeling, let's say, and I can access that data or basically throw that algorithm at it, but I'm not going to get like a downloadable, Excel sheet of all the data. I'm just allowed to run that algorithm, and then I get results back. So there is kind of a wall there where the data is encrypted and protected, so it's not just easily, you can't just pay and get a whole list of user data,
Right.
So,
no, that's a good way of explaining it, because, the concern and the reason people are upset with the way Google and Facebook are using the data is because, of what, they're just taking it and using it.
Yeah. Exactly.
And so that explanation, I think, is very good. You sort of, the users of the data under the Ocean protocol get to use that data, but they don't have that data. They don't possess it. If the seller, I guess identifies whatever privacy modes they want to put on their data.
Exactly. And just the last second note there is that me as a data analyst, I of course get enough information, enough metadata to know what the structure of the data looks like. So it's not just, you're flying blind, of course, but just to make that note.
Right. And I don't get it. I'm not a data analyst, but your explanation of the firewall, I think, was good. That you just, here's my protocol. Why don't you, basically run the data or allow the data to be run on this, and then you get the results back.
Yeah, exactly.
Good explanation. Okay, let's talk a little bit about tokenomics. So Ocean is an ERC20 token on the Ethereum blockchain. So the security for the network comes from the security for Ethereum. It has a circulating supply at the time of this podcast of 426 million and a maximum supply of 1.41 billion. So about 30% of the total supply is in circulation. So could be an inflation concern, but that's moderated here by a very slow release schedule. I read where it would take about 50 years to release all of the tokens. So that, makes the concern about inflation much less. And also token burning is a possibility. I think that may be something that goes to a vote at the DAO.
Mm-hmm. And I honestly always see that happening. I don't know. It always comes to a token burn. It feels like, but
that certainly helps, with the tokenomics, I think.
Yeah.
So allocation may be a concern. 20% was allocated to the founders. Another 5% was to the Ocean Protocol Foundation. 51% has been allocated to be released as incentives for the providers, the curators, and keepers, as we talked about earlier. And that's the slow release period that we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Token, where can you get it? The Ocean token is available on a lot of exchanges like Binance, Gate.io, Uniswap, because like we said, it's a Ethereum ERC20, so you can get it on Uniswap and SushiSwap. It's also Crypto.com and Kraken. If you're an American, you can get it. Of course, you can get it on Uniswap, but also on Kraken and I think Crypto.com. So it's widely available.
Absolutely, yeah. You can find this in a couple of different areas,
Yep.
a couple of different exchanges for sure. So the founders, we always like to talk about them. Core team includes Bruce Pond, the CEO of BigChain DB, BigChain Database, and Trent McConaughey. I think that's it.
Yeah.
I'm messing up that name, I'm pretty sure, but an engineer and project manager. And they've got a lot of other people, of course, but really good, solid team. I've seen a couple videos of them speaking. Obviously, genius level IQs, I feel like. But, another thing Ocean has going for it, obviously, is its partnerships of various industries like automotive. And I'm going to butcher this name too, but including Daimler, right?
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Automotive.
The parent of Mercedes-Benz.
Absolutely.
It's Daimler Chrysler now, I think, after their merger or something.
Yeah, yeah. Of course, energy, finance, healthcare, logistics, mobility, and others. So they've got a lot of partnerships, and of course, you need partnerships for, to get data like that in from such companies like that. They're kind of more private about their data. You need that partnership to kind of build that trust of getting data in, so to speak. So
Yeah, no, like you said, some good ones, some big ones. So interesting. I think that is a good overview of Ocean and Protocol, Ross. Do you think it's time for final thoughts?
ooh, yeah, I like that. I think we need to keep that final thoughts voice going there.
Yeah,
But
we'll make that the final thoughts voice. Okay.
I think it is, Brian, and I think it is your turn.
Am I up? All
You're
right.
up first.
Let me go with it, man. I'm going to run with this thing.
Okay.
So I really like
Sit
this
back.
project, Ross. I do. I like it. And you talk about a project targeting a market that really needs change, right? I mean, this is certainly one of them. Everybody, other than Zuckerberg, Bezos, and the Google boys, who doesn't want to see this data abuse system changed? I mean,
Yeah, it's not good.
yeah, all of us, not only in the crypto world, but we're all behind decentralization, which is an aspect of this. But just people in the world who use these, and it's almost everybody. We should have some control over our own property, our data, and certainly the privacy has just been abused by these guys. So that's what I mean. So Ocean, kudos to you for addressing this. Let's change this. Let's help change this.
Yeah.
So, and I also like Ocean Protocol does it by making it possible for the data to be used, sort of not just to benefit the consumers or the sellers to consumers, for advertising, but also to benefit research and AI. Artificial intelligence, I'm not by any means, an expert on that, but I do know that it's, like you said, data is its lifeblood.
Yeah.
The more
absolutely.
data, the better for AI. And AI has to have lots of data, and AI can be used for all kinds of things, and certainly a lot of beneficial things. So at least part of what Ocean is doing is allowing data to be purchased by researchers and maybe health researchers that can really use this data for good.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And not all of it. I mean, some of it, it's a commercial product to some extent. It's a marketplace, so some of it will be used again to be purchased by sellers of products to identify their potential users. Nothing wrong with that, but the fact that there's also a public good aspect of it makes me like the projects as well.
Absolutely.
All right, so I like that their market, I mentioned this, is open source. So they actually encourage the forking. I think that's cool. So what I can see happening, and I touched on this, is you could have your own market. So their Ocean market is very broad, it seemed to me. You could have your own. Let's say you're in agriculture. So here's a data market for agricultural related products. And then I'm assuming that after time that becomes too broad, right? So then you have a marketplace just for grains, and so on. So I like that, and I think that hope that someday we get there. That's what Ocean's hoping for as well. So now the question is: it something to invest in? My answer is not financial advice, but yes, I think so. Although there's some other crypto projects that sort of target data and deal with data, I really couldn't find a direct competitor of Ocean. Now, maybe it's out there. I couldn't find it. So I think that's good for the project, of course. The tokenomics are a little bit uncertain for me, but I don't really see it as a negative. It's not a reason for me not to invest in it from what I could tell. I think the slow release, has to be done to encourage the use of their marketplace. I mean, it's being used to reward that, so I think that's good. Some burning is possible, so I'm not really turned off by the tokenomics. What I don't have a good feel for is the timing of this. Is this a project that's going to take a couple of years to build up their databases before it really takes off? Mm-hmm. I think that's possible. Maybe it has to take time to get the quality data sets before it really goes mainstream. So here's my current plan, my final thoughts.
Ooh.
I'm going to do maybe a slow accumulation of Ocean. I don't own any at this time.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the few that I own it.
I was about to say. Yeah.
But I could see a slow accumulation, and with my thought being that it may be a couple years before it really takes off. Now, it has had a big rise, but I don't think, it's near the end. So my plan is to buy some now and then, not really as strict as a dollar cost averaging, but occasionally buy some, and, good project.
Okay.
Take it, Ross.
Very good final thoughts, Brian. And I have a similar final thought on this one. I guess I'm just worried about the data getting in these data marketplaces, so analysts like me can begin to use them. I see someone going in front of Congress and, well, we didn't provide our data to this Ocean Protocol marketplace because, we just weren't confident in their level of security. So, and that's no fault to Ocean Protocol itself. I think I'm more worried about the people that have the data and them being willing to provide the data no matter the level of security, because we do all know things get hacked and data is exposed. So I guess that's my only worry here, but I definitely love this project. Another nod to Ethereum there for any Ethereum fanboys. It's running on Ethereum. It's an ERC20 token. But yeah, I guess that's really, I have no issue with the project itself, but my worry is the data providers getting their data there. But I don't own any now. I will acquire a little bit and kind of just sit and wait, because I could see maybe this is a revolutionary thing where, we do start to see a trend of people just absolutely dumping data into these marketplaces, and analysts like me start using them. But, for now, I'm waiting to see, and I want those stinking data providers to give up their data for the better of the greater good, the people. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, we've said this before, but I'll say it again. Crypto is awesome. I mean, you look at all these projects. And I don't know, whether this project's going to succeed or not, but I think it will. But it's trying. It's out there. There's a real problem with the data, and it's trying to solve it. And so I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it's almost like we've got a lot of leaders or starters of these projects that really are out to better humanity. I think, and improve the greater good for the people, and I think that's what crypto is all about. It's for the people, man.
Yeah, people criticizing crypto in very broad terms, they really don't get it, or they haven't looked into it enough to see all these projects that are really trying to benefit humanity. I mean, there's a lot of them.
Oh, absolutely.
So, hey, on that note, that's another episode of The Crypto Masters, and tune in next time. We'll have another show for you.
Absolutely, Brian. And make sure, everyone out there, check out our social media below. If you're watching us on YouTube, but it will be in the description. Check out our websites, and hey, join us next time.
Thanks, everybody.